It's the most wonderful time of the year for gamers, everybody. It is E3 season, and there's a ton of juicy leaks coming out before the event begins next week. Call of Duty Modern Warfare is going to be skipping out on one of the most popular game modes for the franchise over the last decade, and one of the rarest games in the world has been announced to now be on the Sega Genesis Classic. All of that and a look at this week's Midwest Battlefield happening here at Player One HQ. I am Scan, and this is GameCenter.
Player One.
It is the most wonderful time of the year for us gamers because it is E3 season. All of the hottest news is coming out next week, or at least it should be coming out next week, but it's already been leaked to this week. So we have a little bit to talk about when it comes to that. Starting off with what might be one of the biggest game leaks in the history of all of E3, the next Watch Dogs game has been confirmed. Watch Dogs Legion will be taking place in London, which is a perfect setting for the Watch Dogs franchise, as London has more CCTV cameras than any other city in the world. The game sounds incredibly ambitious, as you're able to recruit any NPC you see in the world to your cause in the game, and then have the capability of actually playing as that character, which sounds insane and sounds like it could have absolutely enormous repercussions when it comes to how the story plays out, or if this person's abilities are perfect or not perfect for the mission at hand. There's just a ton that you need to take into scope when you're trying to have this many playable characters in an individual game. How do you balance this out? Hopefully we'll find out more about that next week. And that, of course, is not the only leak this week, as Destiny 2 Shadowkeep was data mined after the most recent DLC for the title was released this last Tuesday. It appears to be an incredibly large DLC, almost the size of the Taken King from Destiny 1, and will be coming out later this fall. Also leaked due to a post on GameStop.com is that there may be, this is not 100% confirmed yet, a new Splinter Cell game being announced at E3 this year. Now, Splinter Cell is an enormously famous and enormously popular franchise from Ubisoft, and it would be really interesting to see this game possibly see a reboot. Call of Duty's zombie modes have been one of the more defining aspects of the franchise over the last 10 years. In fact, the mode is now unbelievably a decade old. It first appeared in Call of Duty World at War way back in 2009. But for one of the first times since that game, zombies, or any spin-off of it, will not be appearing in this year's Call of Duty Modern Warfare. In an attempt to stick to the true, gritty, realistic nature of the game, the developers have decided to completely nix the mode from the title, and this has made some fans pretty angry. It's a mainstay of the franchise now, and one of the reasons that the franchise has sold so well over the last decade. So to see this game mode disappear altogether, it's a very strange decision, if you ask me, to essentially look at the pillars that have built up your own franchise, point to one of them and just go, yeah, we're not going to do that one. It's weird. We've spoken about the Sega Genesis Classic before here on GameCenter. This is Sega's latest foray into the retro console market that Nintendo has been dominating over the last few years, and finally, the last 12 games for this console have been announced. Now, it's really interesting what one of those games in particular is: Tetris. What's the big deal? It's Tetris. Everyone's played Tetris. It's been on everything. Well, yeah, it's kind of been on everything, and it has technically been on the Sega Genesis. But in reality, there are only 3 known cartridges of Tetris for the Sega Genesis known in the world. So this is technically one of the rarest games of all time being released on a digital format. Will that affect the value of the 3 cartridges? Probably not, but it makes it arguably the most interesting inclusion amongst this massive library of games coming out for the Sega Genesis Classic. It's a really big weekend for us here at Player One Esports. For starters, we have a booth at Indie PopCon happening downtown here in Indianapolis, so if you're going to be at the convention, be sure to swing by and say hi to us at our booth. Second, whether or not you're here in Indianapolis, be sure to join us for Midwest Battlefield. That is our Smash Bros. Ultimate Tournament featuring 64 players live from the Player One Arena, which you'll also be able to watch on twitch.tv/Player One Esports. And of course, it is the final weekend of Phase 2 of the NPL, with Player One Esports entering this weekend in 7th place. You can find that at twitch.tv/PlayBattlegrounds, which will be happening on Saturday and Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. Before you guys go, though, I need to know what games you are looking forward to the most at E3, because Player One Esports will be attending the convention next week. So in the comments below, tell us what games are you looking forward to the most, and we will do our best to get coverage of those games from the show floor. And also, please leave a thumbs up and a subscription here on the channel. Your guys' support has been incredible recently, and we really appreciate it. But that's going to do it for this episode. For Player One Esports, I'm Scan, and this has been GameCenter. Game on, everybody.